Hello there, this is Mason at Spampinato Guitars. I just want to do a quick rundown and go over the anatomy of an acoustic guitar, point out what all the different components that make up a guitar are. Within this course, we're going to be obviously referring to all of these parts, and I just want everybody to be on the same page as to what all these different components that make up a guitar are referred to. A lot of this, I'm sure a lot of you already know. I just want to really have everybody on the same page so we all know what everyone's talking about. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. Starting out, acoustic guitar here. This is a Parlor model acoustic guitar. And just from the top on down, we're going to start with the headstock. So this is a standard headstock. This is what you're going to find on most Martins and Taylors and other very popular acoustic guitars on the market. This is where your machine heads are going to be attached to, and this is going to be your standard setup. Compared to a slotted headstock, which is going to be a little less popular, but here's an example of one of those. And so the tuning heads run sideways into the guitar instead of straight out. And you're going to find these headstocks on classical guitars, all classical guitars. There are some steel string guitars out there that have the slotted headstock, not quite as popular, but those are going to be your two main different types of headstock. I believe I said earlier, these are machine heads and or tuning machines. That's going to be how you're going to hold your guitar in tune. Moving on down, this is the nut. Typically these are made out of plastic, unfortunately, because it's a cheaper version. It's a lot cheaper for manufacturers to have plastic nuts and saddles instead of bone, which they should really be made out of. It's much harder material. And so that's your nut right there. That's going to be your first point of contact that your strings have to the guitar. Moving on down, we have the fretboard, which is typically a separate piece of wood that's glued onto the neck of the guitar. You can see here, we have a separate wood here, this is going to be mahogany. This is going to be a rosewood fretboard that's glued on top of that. That's going to be referred to as your fretboard. And on your fretboard, you have your frets, obviously, which is going to be your pieces of metal, your fret wire going down the fretboard. We have inlays going down this fretboard. A lot of times there'll be fret dots as well. Just kind of depends on how fancy you want to get with things. And fret dots and or inlays are typically going to be on fret 1. That one you'll see it about half the time not on this one. Fret 3, fret 5, fret 7, fret 9, fret 12, fret 15, 17, sometimes so on. A lot of guitars have 24 frets, so they'll kind of keep following that same pattern up the neck. On the side, you'll have fret dots correlating with the same frets as those inlays and or fret dots are on. Moving down, this part of the neck is going to be referred to as the heel. And moving along onto the body of the guitar. So the upper part of the body of an acoustic guitar is going to be referred to as the upper bout. The thinnest part is going to be the waist of the guitar, and then onto your thickest part of the body, that's going to be referred to as the lower bout. And then on the guitar, a lot of times you'll see these different colors, piece of wood, different plastics running along the edges of these guitars, and that's going to be called your that's going to be called your binding. In this case, this one's made out of plastic. A lot of times it's made out of rosewood or maple. And then on the inside of here, you see we've had a separate layer. That's going to be mother of pearl as well. And this separate layer is going to be called purfling. You'll see this on a lot of higher end guitars. Moving on down, we've got the sound hole of the guitar. That's where all the sound is going to come out, and all those resonant frequencies are going to be projected out of the guitar. It's going to be your sound hole. Then typically around a sound hole, you're going to have this circular kind of design or pattern. In this case, it's rosewood with some mother of pearl inlays and lined with purfling as well. going to be called the Rosette again. Rosettes come in many different shapes and sizes. A lot of people like to get real crazy with them. There's no real standard to them. But yeah, you'll see a lot of different cool stuff out there. Right here, pick guard. Obviously, protects the top of your guitar from heavy strumming, and so you're not scratching up the top of your guitar there. Moving on down, we've got our bridge. Bridges are typically made of rosewood or ebony. In this case, this is a rosewood bridge. Then different components on the bridge are going to be your second point of contact that the strings have to the guitar, which is referred to as the saddle. Moving a little bit further down, we've got these pins that hold the strings to the bridge of the guitar. These are going to be called your bridge pins. Moving on a little bit further through the guitar, typically you'll see a insert or so that goes on the butt of the guitar right here. That's going to be called your end wedge. A lot of times they're shaped like a wedge, because hence the term end wedge. Not all of them are. Like this one, this is a straight line, but you're still going to refer to it as an end wedge. And so basically that's a general rundown of the different components that are visible to the eye, at least, of basic componentry of an acoustic guitar. There's a lot of other things inside, a lot of different bracing types. We'll get to all that stuff later, but again, that was just kind of a standard rundown of different components on what we're going to be dealing with. Hope that helped out.